Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're watching this. Hi. I am so moved by the response that I got from my previous video because this is becoming more and more important to me as I'm learning more and more, as I hear more and more from other women in support of Justin, both in support of him and also pointing her, calling her out. This is something that has gone so wrong. No, microphone shy. This has gone so wrong for her, and she's doubling down and just digging herself further and further and further. There's one particular video, Sindaroma Podview. I don't know if that's how she pronounces her name. She reposts these TikToks from other women or from other people. But it's interesting because it's just women responding to this. I've not seen one guy talk about this. Probably because they're like, I'm not getting into this one, you know? And I think this is exactly the audience that needs to speak up about this because especially now, Blake roping us in as women, trying to play that card. Ooh, that felt so icky. That felt so infuriating. Do not drag us in with you. Do not drag us in for your benefit, but it makes sense. If you watch this TikTok or this video that has CaseyJKelley's TikTok, and I called love bombing like when I read the text messages in his lawsuit, what she said, everything, and I might go into that as well, everything that she said in this one particular text message, the one about Khaleesi, but that part is not what I'm even talking about. A lot of people are like jumping in on that particular one. She's very vocal right now. I don't know if you can hear her. Sorry. Oh, I just drank coffee and it's like, ooh. So you might hear gurgling. But the things before that, I said love bombing. That does not mean that's what it was. That does not mean she's a narcissist. It does not mean anything medically related. I'm just saying how people use gaslighting and love bombing and all these terms. She was love bombing him over and over and over again in his texts. Like, I have your back and I trust that you have my. I mean, it was just so plain to see. And I think people are not talking about that enough. Everyone's more focused on the evidence that proves his innocence or proves something or another. But that part, no one's talking about that I've seen because there is so much to cover. There is not enough time. There's so much to cover. I'm going to get right into it, into my kind of list here. So I have a couple of things that I want to mention that I will not go into a deep dive into this video, but I want to kind of take care of that. What do you call that? Housekeeping? Yeah. Housekeeping, except it's not exactly what people say housekeeping rules, and it's not rules. It's just like this is on the to-do list. I want to make a video of why this is so important for people to really watch this because everyone at the beginning, especially not everyone, I'm sorry, I'm extrapolating. A lot of people have said, I don't care about this. This is too privileged Hollywood people just fighting with each other. Like, roll your eyes, please. I've had enough. I'm so tired of this. This is much more than that. And I want to make a video maybe today or tomorrow exactly. And I want to do it as right as I can at this moment. So it might take even into the weekend. I want to make a video why you should not dismiss this case, these lawsuits, this PR battle, all of this. You should think a little bit before completely dismissing these two as like, oh, just like privileged Hollywood people. I think more and more people are getting on board with this as people are having commentary about it. Because it's one thing like to read things and it's like he said, she said, whatever. But when people are like unveiling people in the industry, actors, past like crew, cast, not of that film, but in general, who are highlighting like, hey, this is the reality on sets. This is my experience as the experience of this industry, and not my experience directly with these people, but the experience of this industry. And for people who don't really know, because it is a different industry, it is not your average, job. Directing, yeah, he was the director, technically her boss. And you can see in that video who was the boss, who was challenging things, who was trying to control, up to like even the glitter shoes. And you could hear a little bit, and maybe I think we're putting maybe this into it considering like the context, but I felt like you could even hear his like, ugh, yeah, just get her shoes. Not quite to that extent, but he he sounded a tiny bit annoying because she's like, you know, it has to, you get that glitter and all that stuff. The other thing is, who would trust a man that calls himself a feminist? I've had enough with this phrase. Is that internalized misogyny kind of coming out? Also, he's not called himself a feminist, and he talks about this even. He has approached and has looked at his own toxic masculinity, his experience with toxic masculinity, his healing from that, his search for healthy masculinity, opening up the dialogue with other men, hearing women's side, etc., etc. And people who are saying that line, they have not heard him talk. They have not seen all those receipts. And that's the same thing with "He's Not Your Ex," which should be a trend. I've not heard of that because I don't look in comments of people like people's videos. Apparently that's a thing. And this one, I'll link her below. This one YouTuber or TikToker, I don't know. She's a photographer, I think. Bohemian Diva 99. Check her out. She has a video on "He's Not Your Ex." That was like, whoa, yes, because I've not even heard that many people defend her, but the people who have defended her that I've heard of are projecting their ex, their male ex or exes onto him. This is not about gender. And this is like why this is so interesting and specific because like the gender is kind of reversed. And that last night when I was watching that compilation of TikToks and CaseyJKelley, her TikTok was shared and she was going through like, hey, this is narcissism, or these are like signs of narcissism, or this is how it goes oftentimes. And who is doing this? When she goes down that list, and we'll go through our own like list, and I'm going to provide references to Dr. Ramani, who's really known for this work on narcissism and all this stuff. It's up to you to decide. But before you paint him to be the narcissist, check as to why you're doing that. Be very specific and be very curious and check on yourself, on your opinions, on your viewpoint. Where is that coming from? And I love how Bohemian Diva 99 says, you are giving your power to that ex when you are walking in life with being controlled. Your perception, your interaction with people, your opinions, etc. are being controlled by that ex even after they're long gone. So be very careful, and this is why it's so important to heal. And also, Justin has spoken about having his own stuff with an ex in high school. I will go and get his book and read about that and just do my deep dive on that for another video, but that's also something interesting to keep in mind. Yeah, and of course, keep an open mind to that too, because he's a famous person. That ex from so long ago is not, I think, probably, I don't know, and they might not be able to speak out about it, or they probably could care less, who knows. I mean, that was so long ago, and I don't think he went into like details. He was just trying to explain his side of things. I think that's interesting too, that he has that past. But yeah, it could be that he's just like portraying that. But just be very careful. Are you having rage against him? Are you saying things like, I'm tired of men doing this, I'm tired of men getting away with this? Because that is like number one telltale sign that you are triggered and not actually thinking clearly. And the other part, you know, is like, oh, I believe her because this is what I used to go through. This is what I've had to endure. And she played that part, and that's why I think it's so ugly, and I think it's so destructive, and it's so offensive and insulting. It's insulting to victims, to survivors, to women as a whole. It is just bad. And if she endured anything in the claims that she had, which from the beginning, those claims sounded very fishy, and they didn't sound like anything concrete to maybe people more that are experienced on set and stuff. But, you know, at first, like, she had every power on her side. The one thing I'll say about this response she had before I get into all of this is who brought this to the public? He didn't leak the complaint that she had against him. That's for sure. She her side, her team, they leaked the complaint to the New York Times, and they didn't even file a lawsuit. They wanted a PR battle. Or maybe they didn't. Maybe they did want to do a lawsuit. But the lawsuit is for the astroturfing, is for retaliation. It is not for the claims that she made. Let's get into all of that, all of this. The other video you should watch is Popcorn Planets. I'll link it below that or put it up here. That specific one is their reaction to her reaction to the BTS footage, the behind the scenes footage. And in that video, more than the other videos that reacted to the footage itself, he goes, Andy, I found on his name, Andy Senior, but I would call him Signore because Italian, but sorry, I'm like phlegm now. He goes into like almost second by second of the most incendiary parts of the footage that her response has, that they're, responding with this footage to her claims and those claims. He goes like second by second and he goes like, it's interesting because I saw things that I didn't even see the first time because there's so much. You get overwhelmed. There's so much dialogue on top of dialogue and the music, and you are also watching each person and you can't watch them at the same time, maybe because I only have one eye really. And he goes like side by side, second by second. You can see her leaning in, you can see him pulling back, not because, like you can see the discussion they have. Like she volunteers even like, hey, let's like do the almost thing. You can also say like, well, because she didn't feel comfortable kissing, but she gives a very good understandable reason as to why. Just give them a little bit, or leave them wanting more. Her lack of knowledge of cinematography, of like directing, of vision, all that stuff. Because I used to say like, why is she not directing? I still feel like she should direct. This is getting worse and worse, and another thing that's like going under the radar. Remember when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock? Remember how quickly the public turned on Jada? Oh, she's orchestrating her man. I just want to throw this out there. I haven't seen this side of things. As things are shaping more and more around Blake Lively and about Blake Lively and the conversations, I mean, there's too much to talk about and to tackle all the time. I keep saying that now. Isn't it interesting that this blonde, all-American, blue-eyed girl is being seen as a victim? That's a big narrative that is not really for me to break down because I don't have that much experience in this area. But I definitely recognize someone needs to talk about that too. That's a big one. Well, I will get into the narcissism video. I think I'll leave this one as like this is a compilation of just random tidbits and so forth. And that being such a huge topic, I'm going to pass it on from this video. But yeah, I spent so much time last night watching video after video after video of so many women and their reasoning for why they support him. And I just saw things in such a more powerful light. I wanted to send him a message, but he limited his messaging. I don't blame him, but I just wanted to send him a message of support, a personal message of support, because I was so touched and so moved. And I want him to know that he has so much. He has helped so many, not just with this movie, but also in how he responded to this and with all of this. And it's such a dark cloud right now, but it has helped so many in so many different ways that he can't even probably imagine, in indirect ways, and me included. Thinking back where I was like a month ago, or even, well, half a month ago especially, and where I am now, and it's because really of this and just getting into it. I don't know. I'll leave that to the personal message that maybe one day will reach him eventually, but yeah, or maybe I'll talk about it at another time. But I was so moved, and they were pointing things out that it just looks like she is completely annihilating herself. I don't understand. I don't understand the choice in the response that they had. It is an awful response. It is not just tone deaf or vague, evasive. It should be taken seriously by the women she's trying to rally to be on her side. It is absolutely disgusting how she's handling this. And if her claims are true, and the thing is, like, there's two, it's not a fork, but like a spork, no, like a two-pronged situation with that. Is what she's claiming that happened true, factually, literally, and her being uncomfortable about it. Those are two distinct things that I think people need to like also keep in mind. But I don't think people need to. I think we all already 98% in so many different platforms, with so many different audiences, 98% are on his side. And that is to me staggering. I released my video. I had 3 people not like that video. And the rest, I'm not a big YouTuber. This has like been the biggest video that I did because I was just the only one up that late to respond to her response, or one of the few. But I had 136 or something. Oh, now I have 155 likes and 3 dislikes. And the dislikes are not counting, are not rising. And that says so much. And 3,000 people watched my video. And everywhere you see, on every single person's, okay, not every single person's, I've not been that able to like watch that many videos, but I've watched, I think, 90% of what's online about them, because at one point before his lawsuit came up too, it's like ingesting more and more and more, like looking at what other people are saying and things. When before he released his lawsuit, it wasn't that clear. Once he did, and we saw literal texts, screenshots from her, and I think a lot of us don't really know what words to put into what our gut is seeing, what our subconscious is processing. We might not have the words for it, but our subconscious, that is really the gut feeling, our subconscious is very much on it based on the information we have now. Now, she could be coming out with, here's like proof, here's documentation of emails, of messages, but she's not. And that's very interesting. But she could be coming out with all this evidence that proves that on her side, like she submitted HR claims, even to him, like, hey, see, I texted him. I didn't feel comfortable about that. I texted so and so. I texted my agent. I texted my husband, my friend, this, that, blah, blah, blah. I emailed them. I emailed Sony. I emailed. We need that. And that's the thing. That's the thing that made me go into this narcissism kind of is it branch, because I love psychology so much and I love humanity so much and I love knowledge coming from a more factual place and how we need to be careful with what we say and so forth. I've not said that word about her. I've not even really agreed about that when people have said that about her, because it's so easy to say when people just have inflated egos and whatever. But again, we'll cover that in the next video and then we can make our own minds up. Keeping in mind, we are not doctors, we're not psychologists, we're not here to diagnose her with NPD. But is there something that's narcissistic about this? And who is really using Darvo? Who is really using tactics that are manipulative of the public, of the media, the timeline of things, all that stuff? We get to decide. Again, I don't think I need to remind anyone. I think we all kind of see the facts as we know them now. But maybe she and her side will come out with proof like, hey, this is happening. But I think it's telling, especially after her response, that they want to keep this hush hush under wrap. You know, they came out publicly, they smeared this whole thing in our face, they put this in our face, and are like, oh, but no, like, you don't get to see all the evidence. That's for the courts to see. Like, think about that. Sit with that. How convenient. Meanwhile, he's putting out text messages, he's putting out videos, and there's so much that hopefully he'll actually follow through with. And it seems like he's following through with what his lawyer has said will follow. The lawsuit, text message, screenshots, the conversations, emails, receipts, and now video and audio footage. And he does not look perfect in that video. The video is, as I said in my video, not the biggest slam dunk because it is nuanced. These are 2 people acting and they come in and out of character, and you can tell when he comes out of character. You can hear his voice be very different when he comes out of character, right? When he's like, hey, I think we should do another take doing this and this and this. Like, I don't know. So I'm gonna stop with this now, and then yeah, thank you for the support. Thank you for everything on my last video. I know it's lightning in a bottle, right? That's what they say. It's snow on the beach. I posted video link or whatever on Instagram because I thought, oh, you know, I should maybe do that. I don't know. And I was like, oh, Snow on the Beach is a good one because I don't know if Taylor Swift said this or other people have said this, understanding of her song. That song is like, it's this lightning in the bottle moment. It's this, like, it happens once in a lifetime moment. And it is like, yeah. And I feel like, how often do we have this perfect storm where we can make our own minds? How often do we have someone that's willing to release everything that may not make him look in the best way either, but he feels like he has nothing to hide? Who would have nothing to hide? And who would play behind accusations? Her team is just accusing him. He is providing receipts. Anyways, check out the narcissism video next, and all the other videos. I also have his whole 10 hours. 10 hours. It's age restricted because of the language, but I have 10 hours reading his complaint. And I started reading hers, and then all of this stuff broke. And yeah, I'll get to that because I am curious and all that stuff. I'm also going to say my reaction to Taylor Swift's response. It might not age well. That's maybe like a personal issue I have with her. I don't know. I think that one's like definitely nuanced because there's so little we have to go on from her, and it's this not cryptic, elusive, vague response that any party can like latch on to, like, oh, she's saying she means this by that and she means that by that. Some people feel like she's distancing herself from Blake. Some people are feeling like she's just doubling down on Blake's side. I felt kind of like that. I don't know. But she definitely is saying something like, hey, don't rope me into this. I don't want to be roped into this. Anyways, yeah, exactly. To be continued. And I know I suck at this. I'm not used to. I didn't think at all that I would be making these videos or following the story that closely or anything. It is turning into something quite spectacular, not in a sense that it's a positive spectacular, but spectacular is like fireworks. Like, whoa. Not necessarily wow, but whoa. All right, I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.